Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I want to show you how I paint a Sentinel from the new Cadia Stance box set. And before I begin, I want to tell you just a little bit about the thought process that went into this particular paint color scheme. Because when I bought this box, I was actually going to be painting them in sort of a more muted color scheme than I usually do. I was thinking some sort of perhaps gray or black or bluish tones. And then when I opened the box, I took out the codex and I flipped through it, and I saw some models that were painted in some really nice camouflage, in a sort of nice camouflage scheme, where they were actually painted black and gray, and I thought that looked really, really cool. And so I was going to do that until I actually lay awake that night and I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about, how am I going to paint these models. And then I got the idea that, I could still paint them camouflage, but camouflage only works if it sort of fits with the terrain you're in, right? And what if you were on some sort of alien world where you had like a bluish frozen wasteland with pink tufts and stuff? Then black and gray and white camouflage, well, that wouldn't really work, would it? So, and then the color scheme took a turn for the more neon-ish. So, that's where it ended up, and I quite like it. Now I want to show you how I painted it, and I really, really wanted to go with a muted color scheme, and it just turns out that I did not have the, I didn't have the backbone for it, I guess, to go through with it. So this is what happened. So I started off with a model that has been primed using the White Scar primer from GW. And then I took a contrast paint, and this one is Talazar Blue, one of those nice bright blue ones they have. And I started painting in the sort of camouflage pattern. And there is probably a right way to paint camouflage patterns. They probably have to be a certain angle or a certain distance from each other. I don't really know. I've never been in the military, so I just painted what I thought would look cool and what would be, make sense from a sort of painting point of view. So if any of you know any reasons why this should look completely different, I'm sorry, and you can tell me in the comments, and perhaps I will keep that in mind when I paint my next model. So once I was happy with the pattern, I took my next contrast paint. This one is Croxigore Scales, which is slightly more of a turquoise color. And then I just filled in the gaps between the blue patterns. And it looks a little bit samey here on the video, but in real life it showed up a little bit more clearly. Then for the next type of armor panel I was going to do, I took my Sigvald Burgundy, which is also contrast paint, a sort of rich pink color. And I just repeated the step I took before with painting in the camouflage pattern first and then filling it out afterwards. Then I took another contrast paint. This one is Loxion Purple. So it's a nice, it's actually a really nice purple contrast paint. It's the first of the purple contrast paints that I really like. And I filled in the gaps between the pink camouflage pattern here. And there is no real reason why I chose these exact colors. I just thought it would look fun and bright and silly to have a sort of, well, it's not a tank, but a walking war machine that looks like it's got some very colorful measles spots or something. Then once I was happy with the camouflage pattern and I had painted all the panels with the basic colors, I took a Tarot and Turquoise, which is also a contrast paint, and then I did a dark outline around each of the camouflage patterns just to sort of give it a little bit more of a distinct look, to make sure you could really see where each of the patterns are, and also just to make it a little bit more to give a little bit more contrast to the whole color scheme, because right now it looks a little bit like you can't quite tell if this was just a really uneven paint job or if it was actually something that was meant to be this way. Next up, I could start highlighting, and I did that first with a mix of white, the Army Painter's matte white, and the Croxigore Scales, the contrast paint, and I just did an outline around each of the patterns using the lighter Croxigore Scales version. And as you can still tell here, of course, since this was done with contrast paints, it's a little bit uneven because it's just not meant to be put on a big flat surface, right? But because I'm going to be covering so much of it with either a dark line or a highlight or something, I don't really mind too much. I don't think it detracts from the overall look. Then I mixed a bit of Blaster Blue from Huge Miniatures. They have this nice range of neon paints, and this is a nice bright blue, and I mixed that also with a bit of white, and I used that to highlight the blue armor, the blue pattern here on the camouflage. For the highlights on the purple, I also took a paint from Huge Miniatures. This one is called Ultraviolet, so it's a nice neon purple paint, and I mixed that also with a little bit of white, and then I used that for highlighting the purple parts of the armor panels. And then for the pink patterns, I highlighted them also with a paint from Huge Miniatures. This one is called Cyber Pink, and it's also one of their neon paints. And this one wasn't mixed with white or anything because I thought that the original color worked really well just as it is. And lastly, I took a little bit of white. This is again the Army Painter's matte white, and I used that to highlight some of the patterns here. I didn't highlight every single one of them, and I sometimes highlighted inside the pattern and sometimes I highlighted outside, and it just I just sort of went with it and highlighted where I thought it would look nice. So no particular order and no particular sort of style or anything, just where I thought it would look cool. And here you can see the final result. I think it looks fun. I mean, yeah, as I said, the idea really was to go with something muted and something in like natural looking camouflage colors or something like that. And yeah, it didn't happen. This is quite an easy way to paint. There are no sort of advanced techniques or anything. You just need to have a bit of a steady hand when you do the outlines, but other than that, it's actually pretty straightforward to do. It takes a little bit of time, but it's not that bad actually. I think I don't know exactly how much time I put into this model, but it wasn't like a huge project or anything. I also thought it was fun just to have a base that actually sort of matched and made the color scheme make a little bit of sense at least. I don't know if my color schemes ever make sense, but anyways, this is what I ended up with, and I think it's quite fun, and so I'm going to stick with that, and then I am going to see if I can actually keep it up and end up with an entire Imperial Guard army, because that would be a lot of fun. I have quite a big orc army for 40k, which is really fun to play, so I thought it would be nice to have an army that would play in a totally different way. So this is more like a shooty army, whereas my orcs are just, run up the board and chop you to pieces. So I thought that would be fun. Yeah, so what do you think? Do you think it looks, if you think it looks awful and silly, you are more than welcome to let me know in the comments, because, I mean, I kind of know that it looks silly, at least. I don't think it looks awful, but I know it looks silly. And also, if you have anything, any questions you want to ask about it, or if you have any ideas for other color schemes you'd like to see me try out on different armies or any sort of thing, just let me know. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with my painting projects, you can also follow me as Dice and Demons on Twitter and Instagram. And you can also follow me on Facebook, where I have a Facebook group called the Dice and Demons Showroom, where you can also show off your own painting projects if you want to. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, I would of course always appreciate a like and a comment, and perhaps even if you wanted to subscribe to my channel as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.